Welcome to Mystic Hearts. I am your host, Chloe Rose, and if you didn't know this already, I am an elven warrior princess from the woodland realms. I don't have a dagger, but I have a magical wand. I have poison darts in my hair for any unexpected enemies, and I've coloured my lips with the most poisonous berries from the forest so that I can give a devastating kiss. Welcoming you to another episode of Coffee Shop Chats. For those of you who are new here, welcome. This is your intimate space where you and I can have a little cozy chat with your beverage of choice. So feel free to pause this video now and go and grab your hot or cold drink of choice and come back and join me in the Mystic Hearts headquarters for our chat today. And I have a cinnamon matcha with some almond milk. Why? Because woodland elves only drink green liquid, of course. So cheers. And this is your safe space to explore and delve into perhaps some taboo or interesting topics, usually based in and around the realms of shadow work. And it's just a safe space for you to explore, to feel seen, heard and felt, and for us to just share together in this cozy little space that I have. And for today's coffee shop chats, we are going to be exploring what it means to weave fantasy into your everyday reality, especially weaving your childhood fantasies into your everyday reality, and how this can really support you in living your fantastical life. What is fantastical, you might say? And that is a great question. I think fantastical means whatever you make it to be. When we think of fantastic means jumping for joy. And then if we bring fantastical with fantastic, well, what does that mean? So fantastic, jumping for joy, absolutely epic, mixed with magical, whimsical, any other ickle, to make it fantastical. Like your life is a real life movie or novel or whatever tickles your fancy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Just can't help staring at these roses. I always have to be surrounded by flowers and nature. It's funny because I'm playing this character now. And by the way, I'm not an actress. Like, I'm not even going to pretend to be a professional actress. So any comments on my acting, cool, I get it. But we're not here for that. I'm just here having fun. And this is a look that I would 100% wear out the house, like without a doubt. This dress is dope, and these ears are dope, and this makeup was just totally random, kind of geisha inspired, but I'm loving it. It's kind of giving flowery woodland elf vibes. And why am I doing this? Why am I dressing up like this? Because it makes me feel good. And that is what this video is about today. Hello. Boing, 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 boing. I'm sorry. Thank you for your divine scent and colours. Maybe this whole video is just going to be me having a conversation with these roses. So, live your fantastical life, weaving your childhood dreams and fantasies into your everyday reality. And now, that may seem already like such a big and bold statement. Let me tell you, it is and it isn't. And we'll be exploring the reason why I said that. I'm just going to take a sip first of all, because I am actually drinking this in real time with you, because we're not in a rush here. You and I are chilling together in a coffee shop, so what's the rush? It's quite funny when I do these coffee shop chats and I'm actually drinking coffee. So I'm like a part-time coffee drinker. When I drink coffee, you can sometimes see me and experience me getting more and more caffeinated in real time. So that's quite funny too. So, for those of you that don't know, I recently created a brand new one-to-one offering called Live Your Fantastical Life. And now this video itself is not a sales pitch, it's not about that, but it is totally related to my new one-to-one service. So I do want to give a shout out to that, because if you vibe with this video, then please do go check out mystichearts.org/fantasy. Super easy. And also, if you are watching this today, you have 2 more days left to enter into the Mystic Hearts prize draw for this month, and one person will be winning a free, totally free of charge, one-to-one Live Your Fantastical Life session with me, which includes an 1.5 hour one-to-one session. I'm not going to tell you any secrets about what goes on. You can go and look on the website. And then after that, you're going to receive a channeled encoded painting by me to help you activate your fantastical self and your fantastical life. This is a big giveaway. This is one of the most biggest gifts I've given away, both financially and energetically, in years. The last time I did it was I gave away a mentorship, which is huge. But yeah, I'm giving this away. It's worth like over £500. So if you want to enter, I will drop the link in the comments, mystichearts.org/giveaway. Please do enter, because it will be super exciting to have loads of people. I think there's about 20 people who've entered so far. So it's not that many. You have a 1 in 20 chance of winning this huge prize, which is so exciting. And I love giveaways because I usually get to meet new people who I haven't worked with before. So yeah, it's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Right, another sip. And yeah, I don't know about this mug, but it actually goes with the roses. It coordinates perfectly with the roses. I was looking for something more elven, but they're not available at the moment. So, where do we begin this story? So many layers to this, but what I do want to say is, obviously, I am a total fantasy nerd and geek. Like, I think it's probably obvious from just hearing me talk and seeing the books that I read, and things like that. I'm a total fantasy nerd, like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Harry Potter, anything to do with dragons, elves, fantasies. I love a bit of dark fantasy too. That is just my vibe. Always has been, always will be, and I embrace that. But I do want you to know that what we are trying to get at in this video today is figuring out what your childhood fantasies are, what turns you on, what gets you off, because that's what we want to celebrate today. And I know fantasy is trending at the moment. I am fully well aware of that. And that's awesome. For me, I'm like, yes, yes, because when I read fantasy stories, they always have a heroine, they have a hero, And in fantasy stories, I've actually found recently, in the last few recent years, that for me personally, fantasy stories, good ones, have the most beautiful and profound spiritual teachings interwoven into them subconsciously, and they can be so emotionally moving and empowering and make you feel like, yeah, I'm a freaking badass. I'm actually getting more from fantasy at the moment than I am from, for example, like spiritual books. It's all phases. I read a lot of books on witchcraft and northern shamanism, but I see those as weaved into fantasy as well, because those are in the realms of magic. So that's my vibe. You might be someone who gets that from like just being totally obsessed with flowers or animals. Animals might be your absolute friggin' obsession. Or it could be sci-fi. It could be anything. What I'm trying to say is it could be anything. Living your fantastical life does not mean that you suddenly have to become a fantasy lover. Quite the opposite to that, actually. It's about finding an expression of you that makes you jump for joy and be like, my life is fantastic. I'm so happy. This feels so silly, but so right. Just like me now, in my elven warrior outfit with my dope ass elven earrings and my poison darts in my hair and my poison berries on my lips. I would go on a date like this. Like, I swear to you. I'm not acting, remember. I'm not an actress. Whenever I have profound spiritual moments of where I sort of receive this wisdom from deep within the depths of my own temple of divine wisdom, within my heart, within my being, I don't know about you, but I always find that they are just the biggest paradox. And they are like, well, you've probably heard of this, the cosmic joke. They always come with a joke or being like, oh, of course. Do you know what I mean? And to make this make sense to you, I've been wanting to create this video for a while, but I've really just wanted to allow it to unfold very naturally. I rarely plan for any content that I create unless I'm like setting up interview questions for myself, which I do on some of my old coffee shop chats video. If that tickles your pickle, then go back and check the playlist out. There's some fun ones actually about facing your fears and things along those lines. So I don't plan, so I've just been waiting for this to flow. And I think to express ourselves authentically, which is the whole umbrella theme of this video today, in order to express ourselves freely, we have to get ourselves and teach ourselves to become comfortable with being like, the plan is no plan. The plan is flow. The plan is expression. So here we are. And now I realise that why it was today and why not like 2 months ago. Well, I had this profound download, if you like, or for some of you watching, this is probably going to be the most obvious message. And that's what I love about divine downloads. Like, the most obvious ones hit the hardest. We don't want to have these like incredibly complex, intellectual, mind-bending realizations that we can't translate into the outside world, do we? We want to help as many souls as possible liberate themselves. So I love simplicity. And for me, simplicity feels like this like dagger, and it's like, ooh, I feel that one in my bones. So now the hard part, I have to try articulate it in a way that you will understand. And I laugh about this a lot with one of my best friends who helps me. He is like a best friend and a mentor. Big up, John Vinny, if you're watching this. Long time dear, dear, dear friend, mentor and brotherly figure in my life. But I have a laugh with him and I just say, I'm so sorry, John, like you have to deal with me. I'm such a creative, like paint splat of thoughts. So for me, articulating things in a way that is helpful and easy for others to understand is sometimes somewhat of a challenge to me. So yeah, apologies in advance. I'll do the best I can. So I'm thinking a lot recently because I am getting more and more busy with my work, and I'm expanding and I'm creating more ways to bring people together and support people in facing their fears and figuring out what on earth is going on here in our bodies and in this experience. And therefore I have to allow myself to have these deeper and more expansive thought processes and conversations within myself. So I was thinking about unity consciousness and the concept of unity consciousness, which in the present moment I am totally a believer of. I do believe that all beings, one way or another, came from one true source of all things. And therefore, we are all interconnected. All beings are interconnected. All life is interconnected. All comes from source. That feels true to me. That feels really true. That feels good. And then the paradox was, and it made me kind of laugh, especially in like religious and spiritual communities and beliefs, particularly because they're the ones that are, you know, waving the torch for leading us back to God and leading us back to unity. And however, a lot of beliefs, cultures, religions, organizations, cults, clubs, social networks, businesses lead us to believe that in order to come back into unity, we must adhere to one set of beliefs. And when that really hit home to me, I just couldn't stop laughing. And I'll tell you why. Because if you think of it this way, and if you have totally different belief systems, that's absolutely fine. But if you think of it this way, say if our soul is coming from source and source is expressing itself through our soul in infinite multidimensional different ways, then why would source want every single aspect of its soul to express itself in the exact same way? Now, dare I say that would be a very boring experience for source, perhaps peaceful, very mundane, and yeah, I just don't see that as being life-giving, expansive, inclusive. And if you think about spiritual beliefs, even practices that I have been taught in the past, and religious beliefs lead us to believe that we must follow one set of beliefs, that we must dress a certain way, speak a certain way, follow a certain set of rules, and that is the way we must all be. And to come back together in unity, we must all think and feel and dress the exact same way so that we merge together as one. Now, there's just something about that doesn't sit right with me. And please, 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 please know that if you're watching this and feeling triggered or offended, I am very much generalizing and stereotyping. I know, and I have met many people who would call themselves religious, and many amazing spiritual beings who do not fall under these stereotypes. What I'm trying to get at is, if we pedal back a bit and we think about the term unity again. Unity consciousness. And then we think of universe. I love that word. Universe. The one song that unites us all. However, who then gets to choose what is the one song of the universe? Who has that power? And it just totally and utterly dawned on me that the only way for us, and this again is my beliefs, only my beliefs, you can believe something completely different and I will celebrate you. I believe that the only way for us to experience unity consciousness in the here, now, in the present moment, bringing heaven to earth, is for each and every individual soul expressing themselves in human form to express themselves so individually and authentically and absolutely freaking love this authentic expression of themselves, that we then freaking love the authentic expression of every other soul who we encounter in the world around us. Rather than the opposite of that, trying to conform ourselves or dim our lights to fit into what we've been told is the right way, or what someone else leads us to believe is good, or someone tells us we're bad or evil. We have to obliterate all of that. Let's take a breath. I cannot see a world living in harmony and love and unity consciousness when there is a one world government, a one world religion, a one world way of being. To me, you flip that upside down, and to actually get there is the total opposite. Complete and utter embracing, accepting and compassion to every single human being, no matter their race, age, culture, spiritual, religious beliefs, clothes size, food choices, choice of where to live. We've got to get rid of all of that. And guess where that all begins? Right here. Within. And now, sadly, so many of us have spent so many years of our life just trying to stay out of trouble, in the fear of not doing it right, or in the fear of losing our friends or family, which is a very real thing. But instead, we have closed the door to our inner child, to our inner dream life and fantasy self. And we are not living our fantastical lives. And therefore, we've dimmed our lights. And I'm speaking this from my own past experience. Therefore, we are so quick to pass judgment on others. Why is it that if a goth girl is walking down the street, people will mutter under their breath, devil worship her, she's evil? Why is it that a person of colour is still shunted from certain societies? Why is it that individuals or adults who go to Comic-Con or read fantasy and who are sci-fi lovers are brushed off as distracting themselves from real life? Why? Why? Well, it's simple. It's just simple. Because we have been led astray and disconnected from our inner child, and therefore our authentic, soulful expression. And a lot of our authentic, soulful expression can absolutely be coloured by our ancestors from the lands that we've been connected to. But I'm not going to go too deeply into that because then it can get super multi-dimensional. And by that, I mean, I'll just peel a small layer off that. But as I mentioned earlier, you know, my vibe is fantasy, elves, woodlands, magic, Harry Potter, magic wands, dragons, fairies, pixies, very much fantasy. But then also Norse, so Viking, that's really strong in my blood. Also witchcraft, so this very, very deep connection into nature. Also, I have a huge connection with mermaids, and that's more of a cosmic connection. I feel really, really, really rooted and deeply connected into the earth. However, I have very strong galactic past lives. So this is where it gets complicated. However, this is where it gets exciting because we no longer have to fit ourselves into a box. We just get to express ourselves. We just get to express ourselves. And just because I love listening to heavy metal music, it doesn't mean that I can't listen to an Arcturian light language song for half an hour. To me, they complement each other so beautifully. So this is the point of what I'm trying to get across today. Celebrating your multi-dimensionality. But what we're going to explore soon is our inner child from this lifetime. Because I really feel from my own experience and through working with others as well, is that our inner child from this lifetime gives us all the clues to what is going to bring us joy and what is going to lead us into living our fantastical life now in the present. So yeah, but I just wanted to broaden and expand the horizon a little bit, just to say, you know, it's not one size fits all. You don't have to fit yourself into a fantasy box. Because I love mermaids and I love the water, but for me that's past lifetimes, so many past lifetimes of being an underwater being. But there is just something for me in this lifetime that just screams this primal urge towards magic and fantasy. So yeah, in a moment, what we'll do is just a little very gentle exercise together, if you want to. Otherwise, you can just continue watching, and I'll be talking through as I do it as well, as we do in coffee shop chats. And you just do whatever you're comfortable with. Remember, we're besties. And I really want to make sure that the intention of this video is clear. And why I'm sharing this is because I really want to see you, number one, joyful. Like, just being so joyful for no reason other than, like, you are freaking awesome. Number two, I really want to see people just being weird and wonderful and unedited. Like, you can see my lipstick is starting to peel off because I've already drunk some of that poison berry and I'm getting a bit drunk on it. Unedited, raw, having fun, and really coming back into that unbridled, authentic, free expression. Because we are blessed, those of us who live in the West and who live in safe countries, we are blessed to be living in a lifetime where if we express ourselves authentically, freely and magically, or any way so inclined that does not fit the status quo of society, it is very unlikely these days that we're going to get thrown into a mental hospital. And this is a revelation. We are actually living in a pretty free reality. The biggest prison that we're in at the moment is in here. The biggest prison that we're in is our mind. So by unlocking the doors that we've put around our inner child and allowing them to express freely once again, this automatically helps us to become the masters, the peaceful warriors of our mind. I'm going to finish up my matcha. And as I was walking this morning, I absolutely love going for walks because I just get these just awesome downloads and thoughts. And I'm glad I took a pause for a drink then, because it is something that I wanted to share in this video with you. And I was pondering about what I would say today, and I thought about all of the most memorable creatives, let's call them creatives, so musicians, poets, artists, some of the most memorable creatives in our history have been the ones who have dabbled with a little bit of controversy, right? The ones who are memorable are not the ones who conform. They are not the ones who play by the rules. They are not the ones that do things for the popularity kudos. No, the most memorable creative souls are the ones who are the rebels. And I think about this because, when I go out in public, which I do, I'm not just in the forest and in my office, I do go out. And when I go out into public, when I see someone who is just dressed like a badass, I'm just like, you are living your best life. And I want that for everyone. And it's so interesting watching the mental programming unraveling, because before I was going to create this video today, this little program that still is there hanging on by its little claws was like, oh, I can't be bothered to put on makeup and get dressed up. My eyes feel tired. Why don't I just do it tomorrow, when you feel a bit more fresh? Ugh. As soon as I opened my wardrobe doors and saw their sexy elven warrior dress, I got excited. So it's just by saying shh to that voice and doing it for the fun. Because as soon as I got the dress out, put it on, put my ears on, I was like, yeah, I'm already having a great time. Let's go. Let's do this. And I'm literally doing this for myself. I'm not going anywhere after this. I'm doing this for myself. And it feels awesome. It feels awesome. And that feeling of feeling like, oh, I can't be bothered, or like, what's the point? That sadly is a program of unworthiness. Like, I'm doing this for myself, so I'm not worthy of doing that. You should be doing this only for yourself until it becomes like second nature. Okay, what mystical being am I going to dress up today? What character wants to be expressed through me today? Is it a dragon rider? Is it an elven warrioress? Is it a sexy little fairy? Having fun. That's really what I want for you. It's really what I want for you. And, everyone is different. Some people can just freaking rock tracksuits. Like, that is their thing. Comfort is their expression. For some people, it's like shaving their hair off. And I want you to do it. I want you to just go for it. Live out your childhood dreams and fantasies. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. And as you know from coffee shop chats, it's a little bit of shadow work, but it's not going to be too deep today. We're just going to be taking a little bit of a walk down memory lane and seeing what comes up for you. So I just invite you to close down your eyes and just, with one of your hands, just start tapping the centre of your chest. Little twinkle fingers on your heart. You might say, "Wake up, heart. Little Chloe, wake up, wake up. I've come to talk to you." Saying your name, little Chloe, wake up. Gentle, loving whispers. Take some deep breaths. When you feel like there's some energy there in the centre of your chest, you can gently stop the tapping and create a pair of wings like this over your heart. So your hands are crossed, thumbs are touching, and you create these wings. I'm just going to place them there safely over your heart. I like to do this just to remind my heart that it's safe, it's held. And if you can, thinking back to an age, ideally, but it doesn't have to be, ideally 8 years old or younger. If it's older than that, it's absolutely fine, but ideally, thinking back to a time where you were 8 years old or younger, where you have happy childhood memories. And if you don't have any happy childhood memories and you already feel unsafe to do this exercise, please seek help from a coach, a guide, or a mentor who you feel safe to do so with. You can always send me an email if that resonates. But yeah, if you feel traumatic accessing childhood memories right now, please do not go ahead with this exercise. And just taking a moment to think of a time in your childhood where you felt happy. And we're not going to focus on the shadows today. Well, we're just going to focus on picking up some clues. So setting the intention to open up to receive some clues to what your childhood dreams and fantasies are, and how you can access them to weave those fantasies into your everyday reality. So you can, for now, release who you're with. You can release the dynamics of your family at this time. It is important to do that deeper healing. But for now, we're just going to focus on the joy. And I want you to notice what you're wearing. This can be a huge, huge, huge clue. What were you wearing? What did you love wearing? What was your choice of attire at the time of your happiest childhood years? For me, this one's easy. Straight away, fancy dress. You could not claw me away from the fancy dress box. And my mum, bless her, we had a huge fancy dress box full of wigs, full of wings, dresses, all sorts of stuff. So for me, my choice of dress was dressing up. Hence why fantasy is my vibe. But I want you to really tune in. Tune in. What clothes did you wear? And ask to remember in a way that it's going to help you to understand how you can express yourself in a way that brings you joy. And then I want you to notice or ask what you did for fun. What did you do for fun? Again, for me, surprise, surprise, dressing up, singing, performing, exploring in nature on my own, and listening to audiobooks and drawing. Those are all my things. And really take your time. This might be something that you need to do multiple times, and also noticing where you get stuck or where you hit a wall, because that's also a clue for where some inner child healing work will be necessary to unlock more of these clues. So just noticing what you liked doing for fun. What did you enjoy doing? And then, now that you've found out some clues about what you enjoyed doing, I want you to go a little bit, one layer deeper into that, and find out what were your favourite of those things. So let's use mine for an example. So dressing up. So I could ask, okay, what were my favourite things to dress up as? We could ask, what were my favourite songs to sing or favourite performances to do, and what were my favourite audiobooks that I like to listen to? What were my favourite things to do when I was exploring nature? So, my favourite things to dress up as, I remember that I always loved putting on wings. And I loved wearing dresses. And I loved wearing wigs. Colourful, all different types of colourful wigs. I loved changing my hair. Like, my hair was a huge expression for me. I just liked to explore shifting my identity. So there wasn't really a favourite. It was just about having fun and expressing myself freely. Oh, and what were my favourite things to draw? Well, I certainly remember many, many nights drawing elves. Surprise, surprise. Fairies, people, mainly people. It's always been people and beings more than nature or objects. Always people and beings. Butterflies. And what stories or books did I like reading and listening to the most? The Hobbit was one of my favourites. The Philip Pullman series, that fantasy series, the Subtle Knife, I think one of them's called. What else? Roald Dahl, the Roald Dahl stories. I used to love fairy tales. Alice in Wonderland was my favourite movie for a long, long time. And what did I like to do the most when I was exploring nature? I have this really vivid memory of myself chasing bees, and I would capture them and just study them. So there's something in there for me to explore around bees. Okay, thank you, because that is a new clue for me. And something that I've missed is that I was just totally obsessed with swimming. And when I say obsessed, I mean like obsessed. I would go on family vacations to the beach, and I would spend, like, this is no word of a lie, 6 hours in the ocean. So I feel that this is something that needs to be explored further for me in my soul expression. So you can see there that the longer you allow yourself to and why we find a happy memory is it's this anchor point, because when we feel safe and happy, it then allows us to expand. So I just remembered this a house where I lived with my mum, where I felt safe and happy and free, didn't feel the weight of the world. And then all of these different webs of memories started coming out for me and popping out in different homes, different locations. So having that safe and happy childhood memory is more of an anchor point. So don't feel that you have to get stuck there, but you're anchoring there so that you feel that joy and that safety in that memory. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this with me. Please, 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 please share with me in the comments what your childhood dreams and fantasies are, what your authentic, soulful expression is, whether you feel that you've weaved it into your everyday reality or not. What you're afraid of. Are you afraid of other people judging you, thinking you're a little bit loopy-loo and crazy? Are you afraid of what your family will think or say? Let me know. Let's share our fears. Yeah, there's definitely this mental program for me of like, so at the moment I'm living in this tiny little village. I'm like, if I go out with like black lipstick on, they're probably going to call the police and be like, there's this scary, wicked witch in the village. That is a huge witch wound for me. But yeah, it's recognizing these things. And then do you know what the secret ingredient is? Doing it anyway. It's taking little steps and then slightly more bold steps. But yes, now that the weather is starting to take a turn for the good, turn for the better in the UK, I'm going to be able to go outside more dressed as my fantastical self. So I really hope you enjoyed having this coffee shop chat with me today. I'm just going to actually finish my matcha with you in real time. There's not much left. It's gone a bit gross because I let it go cold, but you know, I've got to drink my green drink to superpower my elven magic. So cheers. And if this is something that you really, really want to dive into on a much deeper level and work with a mentor like myself who is trauma informed, who can help you and hold your hand as you access some of those deep childhood woundings and heal the inner child parent woundings, and then really be able to step fully into that gate of your inner childhood fantasy realm. I highly recommend checking out my new one-to-one service, Live Your Fantastical Life. It is big, it's bold, it's powerful, but it covers many, many layers and dimensions, not only of healing, but also of expansion, expression. And yeah, it's an offering that will leave you feeling like you have got so much to work with and to explore. So yeah, I will love you and leave you. With that, please keep continuing being weird and wonderful, because we need more magic in the world. To me, being your authentic self is the antidote. It is the antidote to anti-love. In order to love ourselves fully, wholly, and completely, we cannot be trying to fit into someone else's standards for what they think is right for us. The only way is through fully owning our own authentic soul expression. And I want nothing more than seeing you doing that. Sending you so much love.